Hello, my name is Gustav and I'm the creative director for the finals. And I'm here to talk about dynamism. When we started making the finals, we weren't trying to make just another shooter. There are already plenty of great ones out there. What we wanted was to bring together the things that we always loved in games. Player choice and systemic design, deep interactivity, sandbox physics and destruction, and both playstyle and visual customization, and make them the foundation of the entire game. It was all about giving players agency, creativity, and the freedom to shape their own experience. We gave that philosophy a name, and that name is dynamism. Think of dynamism in three parts: environmental dynamism, playstyle dynamism, and game modes enabling dynamism. Environmental dynamism means the environment is completely interactive. Players can pick up and throw objects, tear down walls, collapse floors, and even bring whole buildings down. None of this is pre-simulated, it all happens live, driven by player actions. Bring it all together and the environment itself becomes a tool and a weapon. Something all players are constantly using, reshaping and adapting to. With playstyle dynamism, players are free to build their own contestant from a wide range of weapons, gadgets and specializations. You begin with starter loadouts spread across three body types: light, medium and heavy, each with their own strengths. From there, you're free to customize specializations, gadgets and weapons to shape your contestant into something that fits the way you want to play. Finally, our game modes are designed to make dynamism happen. In Cash Out, teams fight to capture and hold objectives. And because objectives take time to complete, defenders can use the environment along with their specializations and gadgets to secure them, while attackers use those same elements to break through. Time is what allows these dynamic, emergent scenarios to play out. So that's a high-level view of what dynamism is in the finals today, but actually making it work and making it fun came with its own set of challenges. The first challenge had to do with the scale of possibility. The design space was huge, with hundreds of potential systems and interactions. The risk wasn't falling back on old ideas, but spreading ourselves too thin across too many new ones. Our solution was to map out the full range of possibilities and focus on systems that gave players the most agency and creativity. And that led us to things like destruction, physics and world interactability, throwing, moving and carrying objects, even making the objectives themselves physical and dynamic. We didn't want these things to be gimmicky side features. It was important to us that they were part of defining the whole gameplay experience, that they were part of the core of playing the game. The second challenge was about seeing dynamics too late. You only start to understand the value of dynamics and know if the experience itself is fun or not when you have enough of these systems in place and the technology in place. And waiting for that critical mass meant long stretches of time where we didn't know if it was all going to work or not. So our solution here was to prototype wide instead of deep. Rather than polish one system in isolation, we built many of them in rough form and let them interact with each other. And that gave us early signals, and when something showed promise, we could go all in on it. Consistency was key here. If destruction mattered, then everything had to be destructible. That's what allows players to trust these systems and build strategies around them. The third challenge had to do with balancing chaos and clarity. The more systems we added, the greater potential for emergent gameplay, but also for confusion. Without structure, the game could have turned into a chaotic mess. Our solution was to keep the rules grounded and predictable, intuitive. Walls fall when their supports are gone. Objects behave like you would expect them to when thrown or pushed. And by making the world consistent, players could focus on creativity and tactics rather than second-guessing what would work and what wouldn't work. The fourth challenge had to do with movement and physics in this dynamic world. One of the biggest technical hurdles was making movement feel solid in a world where everything is interactive and destructible. Traditional client-side prediction often breaks down on physics-enabled surfaces where errors pile up and movement becomes unreliable. Our solution was to embrace server-side physics and movement, even though it's an unusual path for multiplayer FPS. At first, latency seemed like a deal-breaker, but once our animation team tried it, the benefits were obvious. With the server as a single source of truth, prediction errors disappeared, moving across dynamic objects became reliable, and that breakthrough gave us the confidence to go all in on destruction, collapsing, tipping, and moving entire structures, all in multiplayer. The fifth challenge was creating game modes that made dynamism meaningful. All of these systems wouldn't matter without a game mode that gave players the time and space to use them. That thinking led us to objective-based modes built around attack and defense, teams setting up while others try to break through. We learned that objectives need time to complete, long enough for tactics, setup and counterplay to unfold. Making space for dynamism also shaped how we approached combat. We chose a relatively long time to kill because we wanted fights to last long enough for dynamism to matter. Longer engagements give players the chance to use environmental dynamism, destruction, gadgets and specializations alongside gunplay, and turn situations around with quick thinking and teamwork. And because objectives are physical, dynamic, and tied into the same systems as everything else in the environment, they become real anchors for dynamic battles. Teams can move them and reshape the whole world around them in order to protect or steal them. We also found that more than 2 teams fit our vision of dynamism. With 3 or 4 teams in play, balance was always shifting and objectives were never secure. Another team could always swoop in to steal, keeping matches tense, strategic and dynamic right up until the very last second. But what does this actually mean in practice? To explain that, let's go through some examples of what you can do in the finals. Our environments are completely physics-enabled and destructible. Breach walls to create new paths or ramps. Collapse structures to force opponents out of position, break defenses or set up ambushes. Structures can topple into others, creating chain reactions and knock-on effects. And because it's all physics-driven, the same building can fall in completely different ways depending on how it's destroyed, meaning the same space evolves and plays differently every time. Almost all smaller objects in the arena can be picked up and thrown. There's the Arena Toolkit, or ATK. These are barrels scattered across the arenas with effects like fire, gas, goo, and healing. Use them to fortify, set traps, or improvise on the fly. Game mode objectives are also physics-enabled. Cash boxes can be thrown, passed between teammates, or deposited over distance. Cash-out stations can be pushed, pulled, or dropped through floors. They can even bounce off jump pads, creating new opportunities for attack and defense. And it's not just about tearing things down. Players can also build. The Goo Gun and Goo Grenade lets you block paths, create cover, or construct new walkways and platforms. All of these systems are tools in the hands of the players. Layered together, they create emergent scenarios, one-of-a-kind moments that only happen because of the choices you and others made in that match and in that moment. With so many possibilities, it can feel overwhelming at first, but once you start to see the patterns, the game really opens up. Adapting to the unexpected, harnessing the chaos, is a big part of mastery in the finals. Dynamism doesn't come from one system alone. It comes from all of these things working together. And because it's built into the foundation of the game, it defines the entire experience. The finals is a dynamism shooter, designed from the ground up to offer a unique take on multiplayer FPS.
It's like clearing out frickin' walls. No way!
Give me that.
You got the frickin'. That's the pop bucket.
Oh.
What happens if I throw a C4 on this? Oh, it goes up. And then if I trigger it. Oh, it killed someone! It killed someone!